Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. The date is January 3rd, 2023. Happy New Year, everybody. And I call to order a meeting of the Havre Grace Mayor City Council. The time is now 7 p.m. I'll call the roll of the council here. Council President Ringsager.
Here.
Councilmember Shanegas.
Here.
Councilmember Boyer.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Councilmember Robertson.
Here.
Councilmember Zinner.
Here.
Thank you. All council members are present. Could everybody be kind enough to please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance opening prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I could ask everybody to kindly remain standing just for a few more moments, it would be a great pleasure of mine to call forward Reverend Gene Proud Evangelistic Association. Sir, Happy New Year, and thank you for being here with us this evening. What'd you do now?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure it's my fault. I'm sure I did something. I don't know what.
You're on.
Lord, thank you for a new year. We know your blessings are new every day and every morning. And the blessings that you have for this council are even newer than that for this year. Bless them with wisdom and knowledge and favor with all the people so that everything can be done for your glory. In the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Reverend Proud, thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go to item number 5, the approval of minutes. We've got a city council meeting minutes of December 19th, 2022. Council have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Martin and seconded by Councilmember Zinner. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. City Council meeting minutes of December 19th, 2022 are approved 6-0 in the affirmative. Item B, City Council closed session meeting minutes for December 19th, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilman Martin, seconded by Councilman Robertson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. City Council closed session meeting minutes of December 19, 2022 are approved 6-0 in the affirmative. We go to item number 6, which is comments from citizens. This part of the agenda, we'll just make it general broad comments. So if you're here because you want to speak on an agenda item, now's the time to do so. If you're here because you wish to speak on any other matter of city business, you may raise your hand and be recognized as well. Normally, if a citizen chooses to do so, they can fill out a form ahead of time. And what I'll do is I'll call on those forms first, and then after I call on the forms, you may just raise your hand, be recognized, and speak to the council. So, Mr. Bob Brandon. Welcome, Mr. Brandon. May we please have your name and address for the record, sir?
Thank you, Mayor Martin. Bob Brandon, my address is 1604 Algonquin Court.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm here to ask some questions so that I can better understand proposed ordinance 1091. And I'd like to direct my questions, and there's not many of them, but I'd like to direct them to the City Council because that's the body that will either vote this up or vote it down. We're now in the third reading, so I would hope that everybody's very familiar with it and you can answer my questions. I'm only interested in or concerned with the section titled exclusive use. which deals with fences on city property. And I happen to have a fence on city
You can
property.
ask your question, no, but I just want to give you a heads up ahead of time. This is citizen comments. If a council member chooses to answer, they can, but we have no one designated council member that's
I understand that.
assigned
That's
to
why,
answer, if that makes sense. Like, we'll hear your
question.
question.
That's why I said I hope they can answer my
Okay,
question.
just letting you know ahead of time if, because that's, sometimes council wants to hear what you have to say, and so go ahead, sir.
So, anyway, since I own a fence that's on the city property, I'm interested in this because I think it's going to affect me. And I just got a couple of questions because it's not really clear in my mind what it is that you're trying to accomplish here. But under the exclusive use section, the second sentence says, exclusive use leases shall only be allowed where such exclusive use predated the adoption of the city's zoning code on March 15, 1982. Now, it refers to exclusive use leases. Is that a written lease? Is that just a verbal agreement? What is the form of that lease?
If I may, Mr. Brandon, at this time, quite honestly, it's moot because we've all discussed that this needs to maybe go back to the drawing board, that portion of it. And I think we're going to have a work session and figure out exactly where we want to go with that, if we want to remove it, if we want to try to fix that. So we're not exactly sure where that's going to end up.
Are you speaking of the whole exclusive use
Just the
section?
exclusive use portion, not the city fees.
Okay.
Just the lease and licenses portion of the exclusive use.
So I'm really just, there's no reason to do
I
this.
apologize. Yeah, that looks like something that we're going to work on a little bit more, so we don't know exactly where it's going to end up and how to answer your questions truthfully without having that public work session, which...
It may be, some of the input I have might be valuable
Oh, please,
to
continue.
you. I don't have to give it to you now. I'm happy to send everybody an email so you got time to absorb it. But that being the case, the only other question I have, so I can continue to put my thoughts together, is the fee, the fee I see listed for exclusive use residential is $1 per square foot. Is that's, I'm assuming that's the new fee you're proposing. Was there, is that a change?
Do you know what the pages that is?
That's on page 10. Oh, mine's page 10, but it's the section lease agreements residential.
Right, middle of the page, exclusive use, $1 per square foot per year, lease cannot exceed 50 years.
Right. And I take it that's the proposed adjustment to that rate. My question is, was there a previous rate?
Yes, we had, the previous rate was $50 for the lease per year for 5 years, correct?
I'm so new, I'm not actually familiar with the old fee schedule, I apologize.
Do you know where I would find that? I'll look it up.
We can get you an answer. Absolutely. Steve, can you comment?
Yeah, so there is, by resolution, I believe, there was a council passed,
$50 per
I
year.
think, yes, 2020. The resolution was for lease and licensing agreements, what the amounts were at that time. This particular section, Mr. Brandon, under the exclusive use part of the fee schedule, as the council president said, will likely be scuttled and pulled out, which would include the exclusive use and non-exclusive use, residential and commercial.
I understand that, but I'm just trying to get to, is this just an adjusted rate?
Yes.
And if it was, what was the rate prior to this?
So I believe it was, I don't handle the permitting, but I'm going to say it was $50 for a residential, and on commercial, we only have a couple here in town. One's up at the Creole de Gras. And I think it was a per square foot price, but I just don't have it.
The reason I ask is that's a pretty healthy rate.
Yeah.
$1 a square foot is up there.
Yeah, I can't recall what it is up on the Creole. No, that's for the the side porch and the front porch. Yeah, they pay a lease fee for that every year. Yep. I can get you that number.
Mrs. Jack, did you have a comment?
Yes, resolution number 2020-21 says that a lease of city-owned property rights or rights-of-way which will not contain lessee structural improvements but may contain lessee site improvements shall be $1 per square foot. The $1 per square foot historically is about what the city tax rate is. And prior resolutions, I think it was 97-7 and a 92-8, I can't remember exactly, also had a similar provision. So there is some historical record of $1 per square foot.
But is that annually?
Yes,
Monthly?
yes,
Annually.
correct.
All right. Okay, well, I'll wait to hear from you then. I will send you all an email. I just probably given this more thought than you have because it's going to affect me, so.
We've
give you
given
the
it plenty of
benefit
thought,
knowing
believe
what
me,
I'm
I have.
thinking. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to call forward Ms. Carrie Parsons. Good evening, Ms. Parsons.
Good evening, Mayor, council members.
Hello. May we please have your name and address for the record, please?
Sure, Carrie Parsons, 840 Otsego here in Havre.
Welcome.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you.
It was a great celebration, even though we didn't get the fireworks. The duck drop was still fun. But I just have a quick question. I'm hoping maybe somebody could provide a comment. But I was reading through the council meeting minutes in the closed session, and there was a vote of 5-1, and it mentioned that the city council approved the city to pursue negotiations on a piece of property. Could you comment if that is the same $1.4 million property over by Hutchins Park?
Ms. Ishak, I'm pretty sure we're not allowed to comment on that.
Well, typically, properties that are being sought to be acquired by a municipality are allowed to be kept confidential, in part because otherwise, if somebody finds out the city's interested in a parcel, the prices go up.
I
So,
understand.
yeah, at this time, there's no formal contract or anything like that. It's just exploratory. So the council members, I guess, are at liberty to discuss it, but I would recommend against it, given the interest of the city is to pay as low a possible price for a property and not the highest price in a bidding war.
I understand, and I appreciate you, April. Thank you.
But there's definitely nothing secret squirrel, as just Ms. Ishak said. I mean, of course, we could never actually ever engage into a contract to purchase without public knowledge first, but it's just, the seller also requested anonymity on their part, so kind of just conjecture.
Oh,
So
trust
we
me,
know.
I'm very well aware of that one.
So-
Thank you. I do appreciate you, ma'am. Have a great day.
Thank you. I'd like to call forward Mr. Sean McCone and Will Murdoch. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome, good afternoon, good evening, Mayor Martin, Council President, council members.
Can we just get one of your addresses just for the record, if you don't
Yep,
mind?
so David Sean McCone, 5 Northampton, and Will Murdoch is here with me as well from Charm City Run. As those of you guys who do know me, I'm one of the co-event organizers for the Susquehanna River Running Festival. With me tonight also are some members from the Alcesky Scholarship Fund, Dom Corson and Donna Lewis, also co-event organizers. And Will Murdoch here, he's the Director of Events from Charm City Run, also a Harford County resident. A little bit of reminder again, I'm speaking on the agenda item for the Susquehanna River Running Festival. It's in the new business area. We're an all volunteer organization, and our mission again is to award scholarships to Harford County high school students who excel in academics, athletics, and best demonstrate the values reflected in the life of Alcesky. We've had 72 winners from Havre High School. Just give you guys a little bit of update on last year's event and again, remind you a little bit about the mission. 72 winners from Havre Grace High School over the many years, 7 of which received the grand award of $5,000. We've awarded over $145,000 to Havre Grace High School students from the Alcesky Scholarship Fund over the many years. And the 22 recipients were Haley Sullivan and Chase Hunt. A couple statistics from last year's race, if you're interested. We had over 1,000 runners for the third of the 5 years that we've had it, with COVID somewhere in the middle. Hate to even say that word. We did a survey. We've done a survey every year, and 15% of those that answer the survey, and we kind of equate that out, has stayed in a local hotel or bed and breakfast. 26% ate at a local restaurant. 73% said they plan to return as a tourist next year, and 19% said they might. Nobody said, I think there's a couple percentage in there said they might not come back. 10% were residents in the zip code 21078. 43% were from Harford County. 19% were from out of state. One of the biggest things every year for our race is the course. We get the course rated every year, and that seems to rate the highest with a 4.79 on a 5 scale. Comments, our venue and course were great. The course was very nice, especially the bridge. Ran the 10K, course was well marked, not to mention beautiful. Family loved the course. And also, maybe it was a little bit of a side, we got a 4.85 on course support. Thank our sponsor, University of Maryland Upper Chesapeake, and the Havre Grace Police. One comment I just want to read out tonight, the amount of law enforcement and how well they had all the streets blocked off and controlled. They did a stellar job, so they very much appreciate it. I know I hear it a lot, so thank you to all the police. Very much appreciate that. A couple things we need to still work on. We had a huge surge towards the end this year of registrants, so we ran around medals a little bit and ran out of some food and some premiums, but we made most of those runners hold after the fact. So I just want to say I'm appreciative that Havre Grace hosts this event. We understand it takes a lot of effort to pull this off and has impacts on all the residents. For that, we're thankful. Just a couple more things. Run sign-up trends for 2021. Run sign-ups are when we do our registration from. They do a lot of different polling throughout the year and see what race trends are. 96.1% of all in-person have fewer than 500 participants, and 98.5% have less than 1,000. So I think it's a dedication for our all-volunteer organization. I'm pretty proud that we've put on. And we're looking to get better in everything we do. So I just wanted to introduce you guys also to Will. He's taking a little bit, Charm City Run's taking a little bit more of an active role in some of the communications and planning that we're doing this year. So I'll let Will say a couple words too.
Good evening, folks. I won't take up too much of your time. Like Sean said, my name is Will Murdoch. I'm the Director of Events for Charm City Run. We've had a small role in the race for the past 5 years, without the COVID years in there, which were extremely tough for the event industry, as I'm sure you guys can understand. Sean and his team have done an amazing job. I get to see a lot of these. We manage over 100 races a year, a lot of them in Harford County and Baltimore County. And like Sean mentioned, we're looking to take a bigger role in the festival this coming year. So my team, Sarah, my Director of Operations, is here as well. We're looking to enhance the communication between our organization and the council, and particularly the residents. We manage a lot of races, like I said, in small communities and communities that we live and work and play in as well. So I know that it's important that everybody has the information that they need, and a lot of times that helps to avoid a lot of the issues down the road with folks getting confused and frustrated. So without taking up too much of your time, like Sean mentioned, we're taking a larger role in the festival this year with more of the planning and coordination and logistics, and would be happy to hear any comments or questions from you folks as we get to that item on the agenda. But just looking to keep one of Harford County's only half marathons and 10Ks thriving in this beautiful city, and people love coming here, and we'd love to grow the event to be even bigger. So thank you for your time, and we'll answer any questions you have later. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, those are the 3 forms that were pre-filled out. At this point, if you wish to address council on any matter of city business or an agenda item, please raise your hand and be recognized. Yes, ma'am. Good evening and welcome. May we please have your name and address for the record?
Thank you. My name is Donna Lewis. My address, 545 Cressy Road, Bel Air, Maryland.
Welcome.
Thank you. So I'm a part of the Al Sesky Scholarship Fund, as well as one of the co-organizers for the race. And I have a couple of letters here. I'm just going to summarize them quickly, but I was told to have these student athletes and winners to mail their letters to you directly. And one is dated December 18th, and the other is December 26th. So hopefully, if it's not in your mail, it should be there, but if it's not, it will be there soon. So Mayor William T. Martin and members of Havre de Grace City Council, this letter is from Ileana Painton, and she was a finalist for the 2022 Female Al Sesky Scholarship Award. The scholarship recognizes student athletes that exemplify sportsmanship, fairness, and community service. Each year, for 37 years, I might add, $2,000 are given to each high school athlete that wins, semifinalists. This person's brother won the overall award, which is $5,000. The Al Sesky Scholarship Fund also hosts the Susquehanna River Running Festival, of course, which is why this person is writing and in support of. She says this festival has countless benefits for the community, and basically she talks about the $1.2 million since 1986 that has been given to Harford County students. We know that Harford County is a big county, and we have 2 schools that are not public schools that also receive money from the Al Sesky Scholarship. It encourages walking. Not everyone runs. Everyone knows the benefits of outdoor sports with families, eating from the Susquehanna Seafood Festival, for the Havre de Grace Festival, and from local eateries. And as she says, and do some cardio in support of scholarships for students. I think she says to close, to emphasize the importance of scholarships. Everyone knows in this day and time, student debt and no loan forgiveness remain one of the largest reasons why students cannot attend or remain in schools of their choice. She's currently studying neuroscience and biology at Yale University. She's incredibly grateful for the scholarship, its role in helping fund her undergrad degree. She says, I know that hundreds of students before me would say the same. Ultimately, the Susquehanna River Running Festival is vital to the community as well as aspiring scholars and should be supported in every manner. She thanks you for reading her letter and taking this under consideration. So I'm not going to read her brothers. They're fraternal twins, and her brother was the overall winner, and he's a Meyerhoff scholar at UMBC. And I'm happy to say that they both are doing well. And just for your consideration, Havre de Grace is a small town. This race is huge because the magnitude of our race is in a lot of other major cities. And I'm a Harford County resident, so I consider this a major city. And we are hopeful that we can continue our festival to help out the county, runners, families, you name it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Good evening. Welcome to the City Council meeting. May you please have your name and address for the record?
Sure. Amy Janigan, 2193 Cedar Knoll Court in Bel Air.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. So I live in Bel Air, but I also have a condo here in Havre de Grace, so I'm a tax-paying citizen. So I would want my tax dollars to support this race. I'm on the Al Sesky board, as well as I've been a runner for 30-plus years. And I've run races all over the country, from like California to Florida, South Carolina, and this is one of my favorite courses. Runners like to mingle like before the starting line and after to talk to each other, find out where people are from. And so many people that I've met that are from other parts of the country are so impressed with Havre de Grace. I remember meeting it was a mother and her son that were running, and they'd like to do a race in every state. And she said they'd never been to Maryland, and they just were so impressed. So I think the Havre de Grace is a good welcoming spot for people that are kind of coming in to explore. So I love the race and support it, and hope we get our support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Sir? Good evening, Mr. Smith.
City Council, staff. My name is Kirk Smith, 840 Otsego, Havre de Grace, Maryland, 21078. Thank you for the pickleball courts people are already using up. The community center, it's a step in the right direction, And on a side note, I would like to wish the city's Chief Technology Officer, Mr. Thompson, a very merry birthday today. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Anyone else wishes to address the council? Any comments from the council members? Okay, very well. We will move on to item 7. Item 7 item A is appointments to a truck traffic work group, which is part of the compliance of a resolution that was passed by council. One of the things that we need to do is I need to identify the members that I will be appointing to this council, or to this work group. But I also need legislative consent to the people that I appoint on there as part of it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to read the names of the people that are going to be on the truck traffic work group to study the truck traffic on our roads, especially some blocks of Erie Street. And so the following names I'm proposing with council's consent. I'd like to have Councilmember Casey Boyer on that committee. I'd like to have Mr. Paul Ishak on that committee. David Glenn, E.J. Melizer, representing the city's Department of Public Works, Louis Campion, and Joe Alton from the Police Department.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the membership of the truck traffic work group.
Thank you, Council President, and I have that seconded by Councilmember Martin. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. Okay, thank you very much, Council. Those following individuals are now official on the truck traffic work group. And Councilmember Boyer, I'll be getting with you soon on some details. He wouldn't mind taking the lead on that for us. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you've done with it. Okay, now we have another appointment this evening, and this is going to be to the Board of Appeals. Council President Ringside.
Mr. Mayor, Council all, I make a motion to appoint Richard Weiner to the Board of Appeals.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by the Council President, seconded by Councilmember Shenagus. This is for the appointment of Mr. Richard Weiner to the Board of Appeals. Questions or comments? CP.
Well, I tell you, Rich is a great guy. He's taking an active role in the city government, doing everything he can to help out in the boards and commissions. And the one thing about the Board of Appeals, it's probably one of our most important commissions we have when it comes to dealing with like the minutia of contracts and you know, appeals to city code and issues like that. And I know that he'll do an excellent job, and I look forward to having him serve the city.
Thank you very much, Council President. Any other questions or comments? This is for the appointment of Richard Weiner to the Board of Appeals. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Appointment's approved, 6-0 in the affirmative. Which takes us to item 8, which is oath of office. And if I could please have the newly elected servant of the Board of Appeals join me in the well, Council President. All right, these live? Sound like it. All right. Congratulations, sir. Thank you very much for being willing to serve the city on the Board of Appeals. I need to swear you in by administering the oath of office to you. So if I could please have you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I'm going to say the word I. When I say the word I, repeat the word I, but also your name. I,
Richard Weiner,
do solemnly swear that I will fulfill the requirements
the requirements
of the office I'm about to assume,
of the office I'm about to assume,
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States,
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States,
that I'll be faithful, bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland,
to the state of Maryland,
and support the laws and Constitution thereof,
and support the laws and Constitution thereof,
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as a member of
as a member of
the Board of Appeals,
the Board of Appeals
City of Havre de Grace,
for the City of Havre de Grace
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Next up on the agenda, number 9, recognitions, we have none. Number 10, proclamations, we have none. And number 11, presentations, we have retirement officer Teresa Adams. Chief?
Good evening, Chief. Good evening, Officer Adams. It's good to have you up here. So, well, in case you didn't read the agenda, Officer Adams is going to be retiring Friday. Okay, I knew it was the first week of January. I wasn't sure what day. So, listen, Officer Adams is a little bit of a legend here in the city of Havre de Grace, and if anybody's had any children that went to Meadowville Elementary School in the last several years, you've known all about Officer Adams. Kids can't help but come home and talk about Officer Adams. So I really wanted to just have the opportunity to gather everybody around and film this and have the viewing audience at home just to know that you'll be, unfortunately, leaving our force, but on to better things. I know this is one chapter that's closed, but there's another good chapter opening up. So I'm going to ask the Chief to say a few words real quick, and then I'm going to give you the mic, Teresa, and just kind of tell us about your time here in Havre de Grace and what you think of our little town. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, the first time I met Officer Adams was in, I believe it was 2010. I used to work with her husband, Will Adams, who at the time I supervised him, I didn't supervise him then, but I had supervised him when I was with the Harford County Sheriff's Office. And Will is an exceptional police officer, exceptional deputy, I'm sorry, being with the Sheriff's Office. And he happened to mention that his wife was going to be retiring after 20 years with the Baltimore City Police Department. You retired as a sergeant, is that correct? And she had a phenomenal career when she was with Baltimore City. So me, always looking to recruit, I said, well, 20 years, she's still young. She needs to come with us. So I think we convinced her to come with us, and she's been amazing ever since. Teresa has done so much for our department and for our community, but she is best known, as the mayor said, as one of our school resource officers. I think right now you're the longest serving school resource officer that we've had. And she has done an amazing job, especially at the elementary schools, Meadowvale Elementary School. I think, you know how there's like statues outside of Memorial Stadium, or not Memorial Stadium, but Raven Stadium of Ray Lewis and stuff. I think yours is going to be up there in Meadowvale, because she always calls the kids her babies, and they absolutely love and adore her. They really, really do. So not only does she do that, but she's also part of the countywide crisis negotiation team. And she was very instrumental in getting together our summer safety camp, which has also been very much of a legend, and we really do appreciate that. So we are going to really, really miss her. Now, I just have to say real quick, her husband, Will, can talk. He can talk the paint off of a wall. Teresa also can talk. But I swear when they're at home together, but they probably don't say a word to each other. You know, I have that feeling it's probably really, really quiet around the house. Oh, then that's saying something. That is. But we are going to really, really miss her. I know Will has retired from the sheriff's office, but now he's started another job. But Teresa is going to be leaving us on Friday. That'll be her last day, and we will really, really miss you. We truly, truly will. Mostly it's going to be quieter on the police department now. That's what it is. So, yeah, that's it exactly. So, Mayor, that's it.
Officer Adams, if you wouldn't mind, just tell us your impressions of
So actually,
Havre Grace and some of your best memories.
so she kind of fibbed a little bit. She made me beg and get on my hands and knees and constantly beg for a job, and I finally wore her down. It took a little while, but it's been an amazing 12 years. I've worked with some amazing people, officers, and in my 32 years, I've worked for a lot of chiefs, and never one that I respect or admire more than Chief Walter. It's been amazing, and I've enjoyed sharing my babies, you know, with their parents, and it's been a total honor. And I'll be moving on to the Somerset County Sheriff's Office in Princess Anne Elementary, which I believe is a pre-K, kindergarten, first and second grade school. So I'll have about 500 new babies. Looking forward to that. But it will be a sad week this week. There he is.
Well, thank you. And I know when my kids went to Meadowvale that you were the school resource officer there as well. And, you know, don't take this the wrong way, anybody, but I have to tell you that, you know, when you drop your kid off at school in the morning, whether it's elementary school or middle school or high school, you know, you want your kid to feel safe. And I'll tell you what, you know, school resource officers are becoming more and more common in this country, luckily. And they're all dedicated to their job. I mean, their job is to keep the teachers and the children safe. But one thing every Meadowvale parent can say, and my wife and I can say the same thing, is you loved all the kids as if they were your own. And it's one thing to drop your kid off, you know, with a motherly figure looking over them, but it's another thing to drop your kid off with a motherly figure with a gun. So, so you felt extra safe because there was no doubt that you would jump in front of anything to protect our kids. And that's what every parent I ever know says about you. It's like they felt blessed that the opportunity to send their kids to school and have you look over them and participate. You know, sometimes I remember walking in Meadowvale and you're in the gym with them and you're hanging out with the kids, and it's, you know, and aside from Teresa Adams, but you know, school resource officers aren't trained to just stand by a door like a bank security guard. You know, their job is actually to be engaged with the students and just be part of it and be a positive role model. And that's what you've done. You completely, you know, your textbook definition of what we really look for in a school resource officer. So I thank you deeply, not as just a mayor of the city of Havre de Grace, but as a parent that sent three kids, but you were there for two of them to Meadowvale. So thank you. And I'd be honored if you'd give me about a minute to read this into the record, please. City of Havre de Grace, Maryland, proclamation honoring the success and commitment of Patrol Officer First Class Teresa Adams, Havre de Grace Police Department. Whereas I, William Martin, Mayor of the City of Havre de Grace, along with the City Council, deem it an honor to express our sincere appreciation for PFC Teresa Adams' 32 years of service in law enforcement, and we acknowledge her retirement from the Havre de Grace Police Department. Whereas we express our sincere indebtedness and gratitude for her dedication to the law enforcement profession, unfailing loyalty to her fellow officers, deputies, and troopers, and her dedicated service to the City of Havre de Grace. Whereas your record of conduct, performance, and devotion to duty reflect your allegiance to the highest standards of law, you have brought proficiency and expertise to your assignments in many years of service. You have been a tremendous asset to the City of Havre de Grace and Havre de Grace Police Department, Hartford County, Baltimore City, and the state of Maryland. Whereas the City of Havre de Grace and Havre de Grace Police Department commends you on your career, your dedication, and your distinguished service along with exceptional performance. And thank you from the City of Havre de Grace, our citizens, all the men and women in Havre de Grace Police Department. We are grateful to have served with you in your law enforcement career with the Havre de Grace Police Department. Now, therefore, as Mayor of the City of Havre de Grace, I do hereby extend Best wishes to Patrol Officer First Class Teresa Adams on the occasion of her retirement. With sincere congratulations, proclaimed this 3rd day of January 2023.
When he looks us up, hi, Dad.
Hello, Dad. Hey, can we get some pictures? I'm sure your friends back there wouldn't want to mind jumping up here. We'll get 3 of us first.
I have like so many things open.
Okay. We now are on item number 12 of this evening's agenda, which is going to be resolutions. This evening, we have no resolutions, so we're going to go to item 13, which are ordinances of the city, and we do have 4 ordinances on the docket this evening. The first one is going to be a 3rd reading of ordinance number 1091 concerning amending the City Code 70. And this one will go to the council president.
Mr. Mayor, Council, make a motion to introduce ordinance number 1091 concerning amending City Code 70 fees for 3rd reading.
Council, I have a motion by the council president, seconded by Councilmember Zenner. This is an introduction of ordinance 1091 on 3rd reading. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce 1091 on 3rd reading carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Ordinance 1091 concerning amending City Code 70, which is fees, 3rd reading. An ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter, to amend City Code 70 fees by repealing and reenacting Ordinance Number 850, Ordinance Number 856, Ordinance Number 884, and Ordinance Number 986 to update the definitions and general schedule of the fees charged by the city for various permits, licenses, and other services thereunder. Council, I have a motion to adopt 1091 on 3rd reading.
So moved.
Second?
A motion by Councilmember Martin, second by Councilmember Shanegas. Questions or comments? Council President?
As previously discussed, we will be having a council work session that would be on January 23rd here in the council chambers, I believe 6 o'clock. So we agreed on? Or was it 7?
6.
6. Okay, 6. 6 o'clock. So we'll meet here We'll get pizza. We'll have a good time.
Just a question. So by a work session, just so that everybody in the community knows how a work session would go, that would be us discussing, and what level of public involvement would there be?
So there's no public involvement. You can watch, you can listen. You can send us emails later, but we won't be receiving comments at that time. That's what these public hearings are for, and we're for, and what council comments are for, the public comments before the meetings. But we cannot receive comments from the citizens during the work session. That's just for the private council work session for us to work together. But it is open to the public, so feel free to come out.
Thank you very much. Were you finished, Councilmember Boyer?
Sorry.
Oh, I just want to take this opportunity to say, I think it's really important for anybody who has comments, not just about the fences and exclusive use of property, but also about the fees, fee structure, to provide your comments to the members of City Council so that they can be part of the discussion when we have our work session. Whatever we come out with is something that will be used from our city for a long period of time. So it's really important that we get it right the first time, so we don't have to come back and constantly make changes with things. So questions, ideas, scenarios, please provide them to us so that we can discuss them and work through them on the 23rd. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Zinner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to point out, if you were listening in the past when this was first proposed for the first reading, it said encroachment instead of exclusive use. So there's been changes to the wording. The other thing, though, that I did note the last time was that fencing was at $50, and it still remains as a fee charge, a new fee charge of $50. So I just wanted to point that out, so when we're doing our work session, that we can consider whether it's encroachment or if it's exclusive use, and which way we're using the term fencing, and to correct the inconsistency.
Okay.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Zinner. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Robertson?
And just to reiterate, there will be another public hearing after the work session and before the fourth reading, which is adoption.
If we feel it's needed, that's to be determined. So right now, it's not currently scheduled. We're hoping to have by the second meeting in February, have the ordinance enacted. So we do have time in between if we feel it's needed.
But if any, regardless, citizens would still have the chance to speak under citizen comments prior to the adoption.
Yes.
So there's still the
At least 2
opportunity.
meetings between now and adoption. Well, 3 meetings between now and adoption.
All right, I just wanted to clarify that for anybody watching at home, that there's still ample time that citizens can be involved and speak in this process, even though they can't speak during the public work session.
Thank you, Councilman Robertson. Any other questions or comments? Council, I'm going to do a roll call vote on 1091. Councilmember Boyer?
No.
Councilmember Shanegas?
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson?
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner?
Yes.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Council President Ringsager?
Yes.
By roll call vote of 5-1 in the affirmative, ordinance number 1091 concerning amending City Codes 70, which is fees, adopted on third reading. Item B, ordinance number 1092, amending City Code Chapter 67, Ethics, and I'm going to defer this to the Chair of the Ethics Committee, and that's going to be Councilmember Martin.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. This time I make a motion to approve ordinance 1092 concerning amendments to the City Code, Chapter 67, Ethics. It is to bring the chapter with updates to the state ethics law and/or to correct ambiguities in the City Code.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Martin. I have a motion by Councilmember Martin. I have a second.
Second.
Second by the Council President. This is a motion to introduce ordinance 1092 on second reading. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion to introduce 1092 on second reading passes 6-0 in the affirmative. Again, this is ordinance 1092, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Havre, Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated code of Maryland, Title 5, the general provisions, article of the annotated code of Maryland, and sections 33 and 34 of the Havre Grace City Charter for the purpose of amending City Code, Chapter 67, Ethics. Council, I have a motion to adopt 1092 on second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Martin, seconded by Councilmember Robertson. Questions or comments? Okay. Thank you very much. Council will do a roll call vote. Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Council President.
Yes.
Councilmember Shenegas.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative. Ordinance 1092 concerning amending City Code Chapter 67 regarding ethics is adopted and approved on second reading. We're going to go to item C. It's going to be an ordinance concerning amending City Code 25, boards, committees, and commissions. This is going to be a first reading introduction, and this will fall under the wheelhouse of the council president.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I make a motion to introduce ordinance concerning amending City Code Number 25, boards, committees, and commissions for first reading and introduction.
Thank you very much, Council President. Council, I have a motion by the Council President. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Martin. This is a motion to introduce an ordinance concerning amending City Code 25, boards, commissions, and commissions. Any questions or comments on this introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce an ordinance carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Council, this will be known as Ordinance 1093, an ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated code of Maryland, and sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter to amend City Code 25, boards, committees, and commissions. Article 1, Section 25-0, duty to report, duty to attend work sessions. Council, I have a motion to adopt this ordinance on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Martin, second by the Council President. You gotta get faster, right? Saying that, you gotta work on that. All right, thank you. Motion by the Councilmember Martin, seconded by the Council President. And questions or comments on this one? Council President?
Mr. Mayor, Council, the purpose of this ordinance is to amend the current city code to remove redundancy on the duty to report by the commissions and committees and boards. So basically, we're requiring them to come to a work session altogether once a year, which we found was redundant and unnecessary. If we need a work session, we can call a work session. But as it is, they have a duty to report to us anyways, individually. We just didn't feel that it was needed for everybody to show up at one time for one work session. So if we need one, we'll call one.
Sure. Okay. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Council will do a roll call on first reading. Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Council President.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Councilmember Shenegas. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Keep forgetting your name. Yes, a second time.
We look the same.
All right, got it.
It's
Okay.
my brother, Daryl.
6-0 in the affirmative, and we got an extra affirmative out of that one. And so, ordinance 1093 is adopted on first reading. Let's say we have a public hearing on the 17th.
Sounds good to me, sir.
All right, why not? So the public hearing on ordinance 1093 is going to take place at 7 p.m. preceding the council member, which is going to be at the next council meeting. And just a heads up, because Monday the 16th is a federal holiday, this council meeting will be just like tonight. It'll fall on a Tuesday. And so Public hearing on 1093 be right before the council meeting. We have one more ordinance left to introduce, council. This one's going to be concerning amending City Code 127, peddling and soliciting. And Council President again.
Mr. Mayor, Council, make a motion to introduce ordinance concerning amending Section 127-10 food truck requirements for first reading.
Second.
I don't even know.
Council, I have a motion by the Council President, seconded by Councilmember Shanegas. This is a motion to introduce an ordinance on first reading. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. Motion to introduce ordinance concerning amending City Code Chapter 127 is carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Council, the ordinance will be known as 1094. An ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland, and Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter to amend Sections 127-10 food truck requirements of the City Code Chapter 127, titled Peddling and Soliciting. Council, to have a motion to adopt 1094 on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Martin, seconded by Councilmember Shanegas. Questions or comments? Council President.
So here in Havre de Grace, we're doing our best to try to help local businesses. We're trying to do everything we can to just have the, the festival feel of downtown Havre de Grace. But we're trying to do it without inconveniencing other people. And this adds 2 more places for food trucks that we feel is appropriate because it's not on a residential street. It's on the business portion of Bourbon. So we're going to allow, we're making the amendment here to the previous existing ordinance to allow just more food trucks, but not on the residential portion of Bourbon Street. If that makes any sense.
Makes sense to me. Cool. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Robertson.
2 questions and 1 comment. First would be, how much of that is city owned property and how much of that is private? Because you're talking about where the old antique store is, and all that?
Yes, sir. So the property line for the old antique store comes about 2 feet off of their building.
Okay, so those spots are actually public?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then my second question would be, I guess you guys are considering that this is a better spot than Market Street?
So Market Street is a public right-of-way. Where the diagonal parking is in front of the business is actually the city roadway and right-of-way.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And then my comment would be, should we amend line 54 to specify how many spots, like you do in A and B? Proposed item C doesn't have a specified number of spaces. So I don't know what the intent of the bill is. I'm just asking.
I believe that was overlooked. We were intending 2 spaces there, correct?
Yes, sir.
So I'll accept that as a friendly amendment if you want to suggest it.
Then I make the amendment that, let me go back here. Let's 2 spaces to the north side of the 200 block of Bourbon Street.
I'll second it.
All right.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson, second by Councilmember Martin, which would allow for 2 spaces on the proposed amendment. Questions or comments on the amendment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Councilmember Robertson's amendment passes for 2 spaces.
Thank you, Jason.
Councilmember Robertson, any other further questions or comments? All right, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from the council before we do the roll call on first reading? Okay, council. This is going to be first reading roll call on ordinance 1094. Councilmember Shanegas.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner. Yes. Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Council President Ringsager.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
With a roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative, ordinance 1094 concerning amending City Code Chapter 127, dealing with peddling and soliciting, is adopted on first reading. And Council President, would you also like to have the public hearing on this at the next council meeting on January 17th? Perfect. All right, sounds good. Public hearing for 1094 will also be on January 17th, right after the public hearing on 1093, preceding the council meeting. All right, fair enough. Okay, item 14, old business. Council President.
Mr. Mayor, Council, it becomes necessary that I read the vote into public record from the closed session. So if I may, if you'll indulge me. Actions taken. Motion to approve the reappointment of Chief Walter as Chief of Police by Councilmember Martin. Second by Councilmember Robertson. Motion carried 6-0. Action taken. Motion to renew Chief of Police contract to reflect percentage salary increases respectively for the next 3 years by Councilmember Martin. Second by Councilmember Shenegas. Motion carried 6-0. Action taken. Motion made by Councilmember Martin, second by Councilmember Shenegas, to allow the mayor to negotiate a contract for up to a specified maximum. Motion carried 5-0 with Councilmember Robertson abstaining. Action taken. Motion made by Councilmember Martin, second by Councilmember Robertson, to confirm that the scope of the ADR mediation on the pencil case is to be limited to the portion of the appeal involving nuisance claims only, and allow the remainder of the case to proceed to court decision. Motion carried 6-0. Sir?
Thank you very much, Council President. Councilmember Robertson.
Would you mind if I just said a quick word on that vote?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Just for the audience here and at home, I just want to make clear that my abstention had nothing to do with my ownership in the property. I don't own the property, so just to clarify that, my position was that I didn't feel like we had enough information to make an informed decision at that time. So I abstained because I felt rushed into making that decision, so.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go to item 15, new business. We have several events on the agenda for we have several events planned here for items 1 and 2. So we're going to start off with Director of Administration, Mr. Gamatori.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, before you, we have 2 special event applications. The first one is the Shrimp and Barbecue Fest. That is sponsored by the Havre Grace Maritime Museum. The point of contact will be Jennifer Sim. They are a 501c3. The festival will be held down at Hutchins Memorial Park using the community pavilion. We did remind the applicants that there is no amplified sound that is permitted down there. They understand that. The setup will be on June the 10th, right after the farmer's market. The event itself will be from 6 p.m. until 9 p.m. with a cleanup of 10 o'clock. The anticipated attendance is about 200. They will have food and alcohol, some gambling. They've procured the proper licensing. They have in your packet, you'll see the proof of them being a viable 501c3, the insurance certificate, and also the map of the area, along with the costing sheets for both PD and the DPW. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gamatori. Council, I have a motion to approve the Shrimp Barbecue Fest.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by the Council President, seconded by Councilmember Boyer. Questions or comments on the event? All those in favor say aye. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Shrimp and Barbecue Fest, June 10th, 2023, 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock at Hutchins Memorial Park is approved, 6-0 in the affirmative. Mr. Gamatori.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, the final event application is the 2023 Susquehanna River Running Festival, sponsored by the Al Sesky Scholarship Fund, Inc. The on-site person will be Will Murdoch, along with the backup Sean McCune, both of whom spoke this evening. They are a 501c3, it's just not a Havre de Grace 501c3. This is for the 5K, 10K, and walk. The setup will be on the 22nd at 0700. The event starts at 8 a.m., ends at 4 p.m., and the breakdown will be at 6 p.m. Also want to make note on the setup, part of this application will be on the day before the 22nd at both Tidings Park, or at Tidings Park for the Expo packet pickup that occurs. Those hours are listed as well. They've included a very comprehensive traffic plan, also several maps depicting the course, the setup at Tidings Park post-event, and then also the costing sheet at the end with both DPW and PD's costs. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Camatori. Council, I have a motion to approve the Susquehanna River Running Festival.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Robertson, seconded by Councilmember Schnegas. Questions or comments? Council President?
Mr. Camatori, if I may, what timeline does the DPW have to put signs out on the street? Somebody complains we had the past year, people went out the day of and they saw the signs in front of their house. The night before they went out there and they couldn't park in front of their house, especially on Washington Street. And some of the issues I had was the advertising ahead of time, maybe through the city on the website. I guess might have missed it. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. I'm not a runner, if you can't tell. But a lot of the complaints from the citizens were they were completely unaware that it was going to happen. And that's why we received a significant portion of the complaints.
So the no parking signs have to be posted well in advance so the police department has the opportunity then to be able to remove the vehicle if it's parked at during the event time. So some people may see the no parking signs and think that they can't park there the day before, when in fact you can park up to whatever the period of time it is. It typically, it may even be midnight the night before. I'm not really certain of what that is. So that was part of it. The other part was there's just an enormous amount of no parking in various areas of the city because the race kind of comprises a lot of the city, both north and south. In particular, the most calls that we got at City Hall were for the 800 block of Erie Street.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
Councilmember Boyer?
So, just to clarify, Chief, the reason why no parking during the race along the route, even if nobody's going to move their car during the race, what is the reasoning for that?
Well, a lot of it is, we don't want any vehicles damaged inadvertently.
Hey, Chief.
I'm sorry. We don't want vehicles damaged, that type of thing. The other thing is that if somebody wants to leave their home, we can't always let them because of the runners. So that's why we try to get them to move it, you know. We typically do start after midnight towing vehicles.
I have one other comment on that.
Sure.
Just from some of the training that the chief has taken us to, part of the reason why you want the area cleared along, whether it's the downtown First Fridays or the path, is that if some knucklehead wanted to create a problem, a diversion,
Right.
do something within a car, I hate to say a device of some sort.
Some kind of device, explosive or something
So
like
that's
that.
typically
correct.
why, on any of our events, we try to clear the streets.
And my next question, so what does the race pay for?
All the police, you can speak that, Chief.
Yes, sir. We do get reimbursed for, like, the overtime for the police officers.
So on the costing sheet, a percentage of that?
We should get
Or
reimbursed
by
for
the
that.
race?
That's
How about
correct.
anything, because I noticed there was overtime as well for DPW, is that?
Yeah, we get no reimbursement for DPW, and I think it's 100% reimbursement for the police department.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Martin?
Mr. Mayor, thank you, council members. From the Tourism Advisory Board meeting minutes as a member, as their liaison from September 21st, the outdoor portion reported that the boating season is just finishing pretty strong. The fall part of the season is when a lot of people are coming in to begin their boat storage. The addition of this parking divides the city in half. It makes it hard for their employees to get there, as well as the people that want to use the marina to put their boats and put it in storage cannot. When we talked to the business group, Jolene Foster commented that the sales in that area are similar to a regular Saturday, so there's nothing that's really helping impact the businesses in downtown. The third issue that I have with that is, as we said, with all the parking that we're doing, we're putting residents in our community, they can't get out of their house. They're stuck. They have no cars, so they have to make other arrangements. They can't get out, and they can be there for several hours. So in this instance, I'd be voting no on this.
Councilman Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess just one quick question and then a comment to follow. I didn't realize until sitting up here this evening that the Seafood Festival is going on at the same time, and I see that the route encompasses that portion of Concord Street. Is there something being worked out to handle that?
You're correct that the Seafood Festival is the same kind of deal we've had the last 3 years. The race will not go through Concord Street. It'll turn, best case scenario, it'll turn at Alliance, if not at Lewis.
Okay. Yep. So that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Well, I guess two quick comments. Number one is, I think that this is a pretty cool thing to do in general. And the fact that it's awarding scholarships to Havre de Grace High School graduates. I see here that they have written down $100,000 in scholarships to Havre de Grace High School. That's pretty significant. And the fact that they're paying for the police, I think that that's significant because that's obviously the highest cost here. I'm one of two people sitting up here that live in the downtown, so, every event that we have, I'm very cognizant of shutting down streets. Even if it's just the first Friday, it becomes very busy. And believe it or not, the busiest time on my block is Sundays when the churches are in session and if there's a funeral going on at the same time. So, I'm very cognizant of the parking issues downtown, very cognizant of trying to get in and out on race day or whenever anything's going on. But, it's just one of those small, I don't want to say sacrifices, but inconveniences that you have to deal with when you live in a waterfront community that has a thriving tourism industry. And I understand your point, Councilmember Martin, about the influx of business on the day of. I would assume that racers and supporters aren't really coming that day to shop anywhere downtown, but I do think that this brings in a lot of tourism to our area, and perhaps some folks that haven't been to Havre de Grace before or wouldn't have visited otherwise. It really gives us kind of a nice showcase of what we have going on. And while you're running by, you're obviously going to see a lot of that, I think. So to me, the tourism aspect is kind of an intangible, but anything that sheds a positive light on our city, I think is good. It'll encourage folks to come back, hopefully, eat with us, dine with us, shop with us, visit all of our events. So I am in favor of this event. I think it's been very well handled the last few years, and I just want to thank you all for putting it on.
Thank you, Councilman Robertson. Councilmember Zinner.
How many years now have you been conducting this race here in Havre de Grace? 5 years. Okay. How much of an increase have you seen? I know COVID caused things to fall down. Have you seen an increase?
Councilmember Zinner, do you have a couple questions for Sean? I can have him come up to the podium.
Sure. Okay.
Sean, would you mind come up to the podium? That way the audience can hear your answers. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So to answer the first one, we've had it 5 years. One was virtual.
Okay, 5 years, not including the 2 COVID years, right?
We did have one of those races one of the years. So
Okay,
again,
so-
4 in-person events and 1.
Okay. And last year, when you came, we talked about maybe changing the route, and that was not a possibility because this is a sanctioned race, and those decisions are made well in advance. Has any movement been made in the meantime to think about changing the route?
Well, we have tweaked the route 3 times. So we adjusted it once after the first year. We also adjusted it last year as well for the Wine and Seafood Festival.
And is that the same route you're taking this year as the way you adjusted it for last year?
Same rate, same route as last year. Yep.
Okay.
And there are staggered closures. So I will say not all of those streets are closed for the full. Again, our time limit is 3 hours and 5 minutes for the event. Union is cleared much quicker than that.
Okay, and then Tidings Park, what's part of the festival there that you're holding if the race is finished in approximately 3 hours?
So typically we have a little bit of an after party, and although we have put down till 4 o'clock, that has typically wrapped up around 12 o'clock after the awards ceremony. So we do an award ceremony where we give away hand-carved decoys to some of the winners, as well as age group awards. A little bit of music.
Okay, so basically everyone starts to clear out of town around noon or disperses?
I'm not sure if they clear out around town, but I think there's a lot of people that have actually gone to the Wine and Seafood Festival, so there is a little bit of a competing event there. But good for them, right? So they keeps them within the city limits of Havre de Grace as well. Can't say if they go downtown or not. I don't think we've done a full economic survey really around it, so.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Does anybody else have any questions for Sean?
I just have a comment.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Appreciate it. Go ahead, Councilmember Shennigas.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to say that I see the Susquehanna River Race as a very positive benefit to our community, as well as to the active members that have been involved. They're achieving their personal goals. They are bringing their family members with them to cheer them on. They are helping scholarship funding for educational purposes. And I have personally been involved with the awards ceremony, and to see the joy in the faces of people, you know, the last 3 years, it's just been wonderful. And also just seeing how quickly everyone does, you know, they come in, they run their race, they get involved, they get benefits for being here, they get to talk and have camaraderie with people they interact with, similar sport, and they do get to go to the seafood festival if that's their choice. It does clear out quickly, and I highly recommend that we continue to work through all the things that we need to with parking, trafficking, et cetera, whatever we need to do to make sure that this event goes forward and continues.
Mayor, do you mind
Chief,
if
go ahead, yeah.
I say a couple things? I can appreciate everything that you all have said, but it has gotten more and more difficult from a manpower standpoint to accommodate the race and the seafood festival and all the other events that go on during that weekend. This year we had a very, very difficult time getting assistance from other law enforcement agencies because they are also unfortunately short of manpower. A lot of the agencies have lost people. They don't want to be police anymore. So while it's easy, might be easy to say that, yeah, well, we've got to figure out the parking and the traffic and everything like that. When you have to run a 24-hour operation and people are working on midnight shift, helping to, you know, get rid of, or clear the path, the race path, and then they also now have to work a little bit of the race, and then there's people that also have to respond to calls for service. There's a lot of moving parts there, and our manpower is just stretched because there are 2 big events one day at very close times, and it's gotten more and more difficult. I'm going to be very honest with you. We do a lot. We really do try to accommodate a lot of the special events, but it's gotten more and more difficult with the manpower that we do have. That's just something that you should take into.
Councilman Zinner?
Yeah,
Thank you, Chief.
well, I agree with the comments about the fact that I think this is a good event for the city. It's different. We have a lot of, quite honestly, a lot of wine and beer or wine and seafood or whatever festivals in the city. We only have one race in the city. So maybe, not this year, but maybe we should think about changing the seafood festival because they're a newer event than the running festival. And in the past, we've always given deference to the existing event as opposed to a newer event. So I would think that maybe we could, and again, this year's too soon, but possibly next year to see if we can move the seafood festival. Now, they have a rain date of Sunday. I assume you all don't have a rain date. If it rains, they run. If not, they don't run. So if it rains, the seafood festival's off until the next day. Maybe in the future they should plan on a Sunday or a different weekend, or somebody plan on a different weekend. I don't know what it means for you all to move to a different weekend.
Chief?
Also keep in mind that day we also have the farmer's market. That's also a big event as well. So, and I appreciate, and Steve, excuse me, Mr. Gamatori and I have gone around about rain dates. It's, again, figuring out manpower on a spur of a moment can be very, very different based on the weather.
But we would prefer not to have rain dates from a logistics point of view with manpower and the human factor. It's very difficult, but we understand they occur.
Councilman Robertson?
Yeah, you bring up a good point about the farmer's market. Is that, I mean, would we be moving that to perhaps the Star Center again for this event?
That's what we did this past year.
Okay.
We moved it.
Would there be the opportunity for volunteers or private security to help out with some of the situation? I know, like, we have the auxiliary police, you know, here in the city.
Yes,
but,
sir,
you know,
we actually do. We use the auxiliary police. We also use some assistance we get from the other, like, first responder type or agencies. But again, they're volunteers. Sometimes we're told, oh, yes, we're going to have 10 people there, and maybe 3 show up.
Yeah, I got you.
So that can be a little, that can sometimes put us in a very untenable situation. Then now trying to rearrange people and again, shuffling people around and leapfrogging them from one, it's not conducive to good public safety.
Understood.
Councilman Martin?
Mr. Mayor, again, council, what I would ask you to consider is the comments from the Tourism Advisory Board, both the outdoor segment, which is our marinas and the water area, as well as our business sector that says they're negative impacts to them as well. When then we add in the public safety factor, are we moving forward in the right directions, as well as the final impact of the people in our town that are going to be impacted negatively? At some point in time, there has to come when we sit there and say, our citizens, our businesses, our police department, who provides the best public safety we have, has to be supported and has to be listened to. So again, I want you to take into consideration the words of the chief, the words of the Tourism Advisory Board, and I still propose you vote no on this issue.
Councilor Shenanigans?
I just want to add to what Council Member Zinner had to say about future dates, not having everything at the same time. We have a lot of festivals. I know that this September has been, this is the 3rd annual time for the festival for the seafood, and I love it. I love everything that we do here in Havre de Grace, but learning to stagger might help some way. We have the water festival. So I just think that, you know, going forward, looking at different dates might help. So I don't know. We had a question about the date, moving the date. How does it impact you if you were to move the date to a different time? Right now, it's too late, but for the future, how would that impact
I can answer that one. So yeah, like you mentioned, our calendar is very full. The fall is the busiest time of the entire racing season. It's usually the spring and the fall. Things kind of die off in the summer and the winter. So with advance notice, there is the opportunity to look at different dates. The comment was made about kind of precedent with weekends. That does happen a lot with running events. You know, the Bel Air Town Run has been happening the first Sunday in June for 40 years. So you can set your clock to that one. So it would be good moving forward to have some stability with the calendar and to be able to plan out. Ideally, what you would like to say is, this is the 2023 date, the 24 date, the 25 date. Obviously, there's things that need to be worked out, and that's the case with every event. But having some stability there helps us move forward and plan accordingly. To speak to the officers or chief's point about support, I see that with a lot of the events that we're hosting in Baltimore City, in Baltimore County. Police departments everywhere are strapped, for sure. So we've had to get creative there. We put on a big 4,000 person race downtown in the city, and I had to hire 70 flaggers to help control that. I'd prefer not to hire 70 flaggers to do that, but there are creative solutions, hopefully with the support of the council and the police department, to kind of work our way through some of these challenges. The community, last piece, sorry. The community notification, I totally get that. I brought some examples. So we mail, we do the St. Michael's Running Festival as well. There's a lot of parallels between that and this race as well. So I put together a little thing, and there would be a direct mail campaign that would go out to all the residents of Havre de Grace. It's almost 4,000 mail pieces that would go out 10 days in advance, letting people know, hey, these are the streets, these are the times, here's my contact information, reach out to me directly. There's going to be businesses that are affected, obviously. There's people that want to take their boats out, put their boats in. I completely understand that, and we can work around those things. I feel like there's usually a pretty amicable solution to a lot of the things that come up, but that's just me trying to be a little reasonable.
You have a question for Ms. Murdoch?
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Just another, going on that.
Sure.
Based on other communities, small communities, do you see other businesses taking advantage of the rates and using it as a promotional opportunity?
Sure. So I think, again, I could probably talk about this all night, which nobody really wants to do. I don't think it can be stated enough that what Sean and Dom and Donna and the Sesky Foundation folks have accomplished in 5 years, being all volunteers, is incredible. If you would read the reviews of this race from people who have run it, it's amazing. It gets better reviews than some of the races that we've put on. Not jealous. So there are definitely things that can be improved, and one of those things is having a full-time team, my crew, that can come in and really build the race back up. Most of these kind of events are still recovering from COVID, you know, resetting our numbers back to 2019. So when you talk about growth of these events, it's basically like we've erased years 2 through 5, and we're back at year 1 in terms of trying to rebuild people to come out. But we've got the resources to do that with my full-time team and the support of my part-time team. We can work hand in hand with the businesses. We do source a lot of things locally. We want to work with the community because we want to be good partners, right? We want folks to want this race. And obviously there are going to be people who are affected more than others. And I want to hear those, and I want to talk to those people and work through those issues. But with the support that I have, that they did not have the past 5 years, we can make significant progress.
I just see a great opportunity for carb loading the night before, kind of food opportunities, and just
sure,
even encouraging people to stay on your boat and do the run the next day. There's just so many opportunities I think that we're missing from a tourism point of view, and not being strategic and creative
sure.
In order to take it to the next level. And I do believe that with thoughtfulness and empathy for the resources that are available in a small town, that great things can happen, and we can have more than one event happen at the same time.
Yeah.
Because it's literally not all day. So thank you.
It's not. They're pretty quick. They're a quick bunch. They're runners.
Thank you, Mr. Murdock. So, before council votes, a couple thoughts on this event from the administrative point of view, or at least from the guy that has to execute this from our part. I've always been a big fan of the event. I know the promoters know I've always been there every morning when the race starts. And up until this year, I've always been honored to help hand out the trophies. I couldn't make the trophy part this year. And if anyone knows me well, I'm a go big or go home kind of guy. And when the event came to the city 6 years ago, I could see where this could possibly lead to. I mean, it was huge getting the bridge closed down. I mean, that took more than an act of Congress. I mean, that was like act of God. I mean, it was amazing how hard it was to get that bridge shut down so people could run against it. And I get it. I mean, I'm not a runner like council president. We're not runners. But not my short little legs. But I mean, but I definitely appreciate people who enjoy the sport of running, and it's a lot of people. What it's like to do half marathons, 10Ks, and things like that. But from the mayor's point of view, from my point of view, I saw this as something that could lead to 5,000-10,000 people, something that would put us on the map on the East Coast. We haven't quite got there yet. I'm still hopeful. Like I say, I'm a go big or go home kind of guy. And I'm always cognizant of the impact anything that we do has on our citizens, as well as every member of this council. We're the ones that get, we're the ones that meet people all around the town, in the grocery store, in the 7-Eleven, and walking on Promenade. And God bless my citizens, never shy to let you know what they think. And this year in September, after the race, we got blown up pretty hard from citizens about, I can't get to my house, I can't leave my house. And, my standard response is I tell everybody, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. It would be very helpful if you came to a council meeting and spoke. Because if my memory serves me correctly, the last couple times we approved this event, nobody really from the general public spoke for or against the meeting. I mean, Sean was here, but it's kind of got passed. And when no one speaks for or against, council pretty much says, okay, well, this seems to be something everybody is complacent with. Please raise your hand tonight if you're here to support this event. Okay, thank you very much. I was assuming if anybody was against it, they would have spoken. So I also think, people can send nasty emails at us, with profane language telling us about how they can't get to their house, but when I ask them to come to a council meeting and tell the council how they feel, they don't show up. But there's a lot of folks here tonight who took the time to come here to support it. So I guess what I'm saying is I want everybody to realize, and I support the event, and hopefully the vote goes in the favor. But if we move forward with this event, we're going to do what we can to help you make it bigger. Because the juice has to be worth the squeeze. Because it's a city, and God bless our citizens that live downtown. They understand that. My citizens put up with First Fridays. They put up with Mardi Gras parades and 4th of July parades, all that stuff. But if we're gonna have our citizens, sacrifice like that, I want it to be the biggest and the best event. And so, like I say, moving forward, let's really, reconnoiter, figure out how we can team with marketing. The city will do the best we can with, all of our advertising. And I appreciate the words from the chief, but also know that if this gets approved, we're going to handle it because that's what the chief does. But that's important too. That weighs pretty heavy. So, like I said, I want everybody to realize if this does get passed, that the citizens of Havre Grace bear the brunt of this event. So in turn, we got to make them feel proud that this is just the biggest damn event on the East Coast for runners. Okay? That's what we're going to work on doing. So that's what I got to say. Roll call vote. This is for the Susquehanna River Running Festival, September 23rd, 2023. Council President.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shanegas.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
No.
By roll call vote of 5-1 in the affirmative, the Susquehanna River Running Festival for September 23rd, 2023, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Tidings Memorial Park and David Craig Park and select roads is approved by council. Thank you, council. We're going to go to item 16, Director's Report. Mr. Gamatori, Director of Administration, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Just one quick thing, primarily for the citizens that are watching and those that are here, in regards to the fireworks display that did not occur on New Year's Eve. So the logistics involved with the fireworks typically occur, well, they do occur that morning of. So once the fireworks truck leaves Pennsylvania, we own 50% of the ordnance that's on that truck. Once they get it to Havre Grace and it leaves the truck and goes on the barge, then we own it whether we can shoot it or not. And because of the schedule of the rain, although it wasn't raining at midnight, we could have never successfully loaded the ordnance off the truck onto the barge, and then the barge is exposed to the weather conditions. If you've ever seen our barge, it's not a Carnival cruise line. And it's exposed from roughly noon, as are the shooters, from noon until midnight. So they literally leave the dock at 4 p.m., and they're out on the mooring buoy from 4 p.m. until midnight. And the reason for that is we depend on our neighbors up at Vulcan to move the barge for us. And due to, especially the Independence Day, if it happens to fall on that day, and New Year's Eve is a holiday, and the tugboat operators have to be off the river at a certain time. So we're sort of vulnerable from that point of view, having our people, our shooters, and some of our people moving people back and forth. So it's a hard call for the mayor. We talk about it 2 or 3 days going into it, watch the weather, and the weather pattern that we were in, there was no way we could have loaded the barge successfully. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gamatori. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Borsier, Director of Planning.
Good evening, everybody. If my voice cracks, I'm a little under the weather, so sorry about that in advance. Just want to remind everybody that this is the last month for providing input through the Envision Havre Grace website for our comprehensive plan. So there'll be multiple opportunities down the road for people to review the comprehensive plan, to provide public input about the parts of the plan that are complete. But right now we're still in that visioning process for this last month. So anyone who's interested in how the future of the city will look 20 years out and in the comprehensive plan, please go to Envision HDG. You just type that right into Google or any of the other search engines, Envision Havre Grace, and you can go and put input on any of the various topics through the story maps that we have up. Again, those story maps are there to kind of inspire you and to give you some sort of ideas and things to help with your input, which then goes into the vision for the comprehensive plan. And again, that visioning portion will be up for the rest of this month. Then we'll work with that and the Planning Commission to shape the comprehensive plan and move on from there. So on that note, we are having our second workshop on the comprehensive plan with the Planning Commission this coming Monday, directly following the hearing at 6:30. That will be continuing every month at the normally scheduled time for the Planning Commission, and that's an opportunity to come and discuss the various sections of the comprehensive plan that are being drafted. So anyone who's interested in the comprehensive plan, in the visioning section, you can put some things up now on Envision HDG, and if you're interested generally in all the different sections as they're coming up, you can come to any of the comprehensive planning workshops. The last thing, we have our 2022 numbers for permits. My plan is to provide all of you with a year in review from the planning department on all the things we do, from permits to code enforcement and that sort of thing. But just a quick summary on construction, residential construction permits, renovations, additions, and then we kind of have this other category that we work with. 2022 was better than our COVID year in 2020 overall. It wasn't as good as last year when the real estate market was really strong. However, it was really the second half of 2022 that kind of dragged everything down. The residential permit numbers were 3 times higher in the second half of 2020 in 2021 than they were in 2022, and about double that during the COVID year. However, overall, we were 20% higher than in 2020. So it was really that second half of the year that sort of drug things down. Renovation and addition permits were also down 30% from last year, but our other category, which are fences, decks, solar panels, is usually what those things are, that was up 24%. So housing construction went down because sales are down because of inflation and the interest rates in the real estate market. But the things that people are building, fences, decks, that sort of thing, those have increased, although larger renovations and things have probably decreased due to supplies and things being more expensive. I did speak to some of the developers in town working in our big projects. We're looking to see about similar numbers for next year, with potential for an increase. There are already houses that are sold, that are just waiting to be built, just waiting for permits and that sort of thing. That'll be coming online soon, with the general idea that 2023, again, will be about the same as this year, maybe with a slight uptick towards the end of the year, and 2024 kind of getting back to normal numbers. So that's the general report on new construction. We'll have more details on what the department has done the past year coming to you all soon.
Thank you very much, Tim. Appreciate the update, sir. We're going to go with Ms. Bridget Johnson, Director of Economic Development and Tourism. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and citizens at home. I apologize ahead of time for the cough drop in my mouth. I am trying to avoid a coughing fit. So as we move forward, I wanted everyone to know the 5th edition of the Havre Grace Business Beat was released on December 29th. I'm going to take a little bit of time to speak about it tonight, and that a couple of reasons. One is we would like more people to sign up for the Business Beat, so I will give that information out as I progress through this presentation. And also because we get a lot of feedback from the citizens, from our merchants, from businesses calling in about receiving information from the city of Havre de Grace. So we are trying to encourage everyone as much as possible to visit explorehavredegrace.com, our Facebook page. We have several Facebook pages for tourism and economic development, as well as tourism blogs, as well as our Business Beat newsletter. So with this one, we covered a lot of territory in December, and I did miss the meeting in December, so I will cover that as well. But we had 2 new businesses open, well, actually 3 within the last month and a half. So we had Protégé Paradise, the ultimate drink cafe, which is at 811 Revolution Street. I spoke with them today. They have scheduled a ribbon cutting for January 16th, which is a federal holiday, but it is being handled by the Havre de Grace Chamber of Commerce. I will be there on behalf of the city of Havre de Grace, and it's at 10 a.m. We also have Market Street Brewery on Market Street. They had a soft opening back in November. Currently working with the owners to schedule a ribbon cutting, hopefully in January. Not ready to release that information, particularly since they're sitting in the audience. We also have the Artist Emporium, and this is a loss for the city. This is the space on Washington Street that was in the building that Robert Buden owns. I think everyone knows Robert Buden. It closed on December 31st. He's not sure what he is going to do with that space, but we are working with him. Several ideas on the table, but it was a beautiful business, a beautiful location, but we just was not able to sustain that business at this time. So we're hopeful that we'll be able to find him a tenant. Also, in the newsletter, there was information, I've talked about this for probably the past 4 or 5 months, the new tourism website, well, we're refreshing it. So explore HavreDeGrace.com. We have refreshed the homepage. We are launching the Star Center page and the Tide Trolley page probably the second, maybe third week of January. This website, when we started out on this project, we didn't realize, and I'm glad we brought experts in on the as much information that is currently on that site and the many different pages and places that we link to. So we're trying to make that the best website ever to accommodate our Facebook page, which currently has over 15,000 followers. In addition to the businesses opening and closing inside of the newsletter, we are trying to bring in our parks, our trails, our arts and cultural centers. We've talked about Harmerstown Center. We've connected with Visit Hartford. They are our partner in tourism in Havre Grace. So we want people to have this information. It's a quarterly newsletter, which eventually will probably evolve into a monthly newsletter, if not bi-weekly, due to the level of information that we want to get out to the public and the amount of projects that we are working on. So we have a couple of upcoming projects, and I'm sure Councilman Martin will talk about the Winter Celtic Festival, and excuse me, not projects, but events. And we have the Havre Grace Winter Mini Market. Wanted to talk about that just in saying that from January to April, this is the first time that we're doing this. We're having the Winter Mini Market, which will be held in front of the Star Center on Congress Avenue and Juniata Street. It starts this Saturday. So for anyone listening at home, anyone here, you can find information about the newsletter on the Havre Grace Economic Development Facebook page. There is a link on that page to sign up for the newsletter. If anyone here, Mayor, Council, knows anyone that they would like me to include on the newsletter, we will gladly do that as well. The Economic Development Advisory Board, EDAB, will meet on Wednesday, January 18th at 4 p.m. here in Council Chambers. The meeting is open to the public. We again encourage everyone to show up to these meetings. It is another vehicle to get information out to the public and for the public to participate in what is going on, particularly in the Department of Economic Development and Planning. The guest speaker this month is sitting to my right, my colleague, Director of Planning, Tim Boussiere. He will update us on the Envision Havre Grace Comprehensive Plan, as well as the plans for Havre Memorial Hospital. So we look forward to his team presenting again January 18th at 4 p.m. Switching gears real quick to tourism, the, where am I with tourism, excuse me. I mentioned the website, still under construction. We did launch a tourism blog in December. All of this information can be found on the website as well as the Facebook page. The interest in that is really good, and we encourage people to sign up for that as well. We update the blog on a weekly basis because we have so many great events in the city of Havre Grace and other things that are going on. So to truly keep up with what is going on in terms of events, events at the Star Center, at the Opera House, the Community Center, everywhere, is to follow Explore Havre Grace on Facebook. The past 2 days, we included things to do in Havre Grace for January 2023, and all of our events for January, including the Winter Celtic Festival and the Motor City Review, Ultimate Motown Tribute at the Star Center. We shared a press release today, so in case anyone missed it, I brought it with me. It is a partnership, and I would like to specifically thank Council President Ringsacker for working with Peter Iannella with Mount Felix Vineyard, and I always pronounce your last name incorrectly, don't I? It's okay. So we have a press release. It is from Tailwind and Mount Felix. I will only read 2 paragraphs because I don't know if everyone saw it. I shared it via email and on Facebook. But the name of the press release is Santa Comes to Havre Grace on a Seaplane. And as many of the adventure flights to Havre Grace will originate from Manhattan's East 3rd Street Seaplane Base and Boston Harbor's Fan Pier Marina. However, Tailwind Air can fly Adventures from almost anywhere in the Northeast, from land or water, to Havre de Grace. Tailwind Adventurers will fly an 8-seat Cessna Grand Caravan seaplane. The estimated flight time from Manhattan is 60 minutes and Boston approximately 120 minutes. Upon arrival, Mount Felix Winery will provide limousine service for Tailwind Adventurers to select a la carte activities. So we will have a seaplane business landing in the city of Havre de Grace starting in April 2023, which is a couple months from now. We are working closely with this group. These, they're not set up yet that we'll know they're coming 2 or 3 times a day or 2 or 3 times a week. Right now, private charters, but we're excited about this. We're excited for the partnership between these 2 organizations. Once again, putting Havre de Grace on the map, our tourism, our sea, our water tourism specifically. So thank you, Council President, for working at, being a part of that deal. The Tourism Advisory Board meeting also meets on Wednesday, January 18th, the same as EDAB, but tourism meets at 10 a.m. Council chambers open to the public. The agenda and the minutes for the meeting can be, the meeting can be found on the city website, havredegracemd.com. And I think I have covered everything for this evening. If there are no questions, I'm gonna cough now, okay?
Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson. Appreciate the update. Appreciate it. Good evening, Mrs. Conway, filling in for Mr. DeHorty, who couldn't be here this evening. How's Finance Department doing?
Everything is good in finance. Just a couple things. Fiscal 2024 budgets are being developed currently. They're on a slight delay as the finance director's illness, so the budget worksheets will probably be out this week. The current status of the 3 major funds, General Fund 1, current fund balance is $6,835,000, $321,300 ahead of budget projections. Water Sewer Fund 9, current fund balance is $447,600. $594,400 below budget expectations. The Marina Fund 8, current fund balance is $1,164,200, $45,500 ahead of budget expectations. That is all.
Thank you. Ms. Conway, thank you very much. Thanks for being here this evening.
Thank you.
And Mr. Woody filling in for Mr. Malizer. Man, it's like old times having you here.
It is, yes.
I'm telling you. So what's working, what's not working?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just go through a couple projects. The Green Street project, water line replacement project that's under construction now, has been completed from Adams Street to Union Avenue, as well as the water connections to that new 8-inch main. The contractor is going to be proceeding from Union Avenue down to St. John's Street and finishing up that project. Probably be about another 2 months before we're completely finished. The water line replacement projects, we had 3 projects identified in the GHD study, overall GHD water model. Those projects, Revolution, Congress, and Commerce Street, they're 95% complete. Working on the bid documents right now and addressing some minor comments. I just had comments with adding some additional fire hydrants, things of that nature to upgrade the fire protection in that neighborhood. And we'll probably bid those projects out in the spring. The Route 155 water line replacement project that was identified in the GHD study that goes from the water treatment plant up to Warren Street, Juniata, 155 to Graceview. Those plans are at 95% complete. We have the MDE permit. Received the MD permit approval because it's a water main over 12 inches in diameter, requires MD approval, which we've attained. And basically, we're going to work out on the bid documents as well as a couple easement documents that we need to generate for that project. Due to the size of that project, we're probably going to phase that project in over a period of years. As part of the overall design and impacts of the future development within the city, I had GHD several months ago revise the water model, and they developed a capital improvements plan that was associated with developments at Bully Rock, Greenway Farms, Green Ionella property, and future project on the hospital property. And so what we're going to try to do is, it's a pretty big cost, especially replacement with the new the tanks at Lapinum and Graceview, and an additional tank that's going to be required where the hospital property was, very similar when that property gets developed. And so they gave us just a one big cost and an estimate for it. And basically what we're doing is we're working with planning department. We're going to present, we have a meeting next week, put the data together, and they're going to modify that water model to kind of phase in, give us a better idea how to phase in those improvements over a course of 5 years, based on the future development, build out, and the various developments, as well as the water sales to Aberdeen. And that's, like I said, we'll be working with planning department to put that data information together for GHD. The Water Street boat ramp is going to be completed this week. They're going to finish that out. Next week, Underwood's going to be moving back in. They're going to complete the remainder of the living shoreline, as well as, should the weather start warm up and the plants open up, we'll try to get all the parking in, the whole project completed over there as far as the boat ramp parking. I know there's concerns about the drainage issue on Water Street when it rains. We've had a couple issues with that, so we're putting in a drainage system that's going to tie itself back into that regenerative step pool by the Amtrak that was part of Gene Roberts Park. So we're going to be looking to finish that project out in the next couple of weeks and wrap it up. The MTBR property, we still are trying to get some grant money on that, and maybe. We actually applied for some NIFWIF money with the federal government. They came down, everybody sort of loved the project, but for whatever reason, we didn't get funded with it. We're having a sort of like a meeting with them to figure out what happened. They're still interested in the project and kind of looking in the next year, maybe upcoming fiscal year, as far as providing us some additional grant money. And finally, we are moving ahead with the Lily Run project, and we have a meeting, a pre-permit meeting, the week of January 23rd for the Lily Run project with the Army Corps of Engineers and Maryland Department of the Environment and DNR, sort of like a kickoff meeting for the permitting process. The engineering there on that project is about 90% done. They're going to finish it up. And I had to get some information for them over the last week, and they're wrapping that project up. Now that project's going to go from Seneca Avenue all the way down, follow the railroad tracks along Wilson, come through the Havre Grace Elementary School, and then onto the property that the city owns on the Ebonic property. So it should be it will alleviate, the flooding that's occurring in that area. It will definitely be something that's been, we've promised. I know Steve and I were talking about it. Because it's a project that we've been promising down the road, and we're going to do everything we can to make it successful and get it permitted and get it built. We have DNR; they're very much interested. We had them, and this is the project that they've actually picked for us, that they were the most interested in getting that accomplished. So that money's we'll find out that money from DNR in the spring, how much we're going to get. I am seeking partnerships. We did file our, getting a little sidetracked, but we did file our annual report for our MS4 annual report, and we met our obligation for our 20% restoration requirements with the city for that portion of the 6 MCMs that required. So we have some ability to trade some credits for some cash, and so I'm again knocking on the door with Hartford County. And we may see if some other state agencies that are looking for some sort of credits that they'll join in on this project. We'll certainly we're covering the engineering on it and finishing the engineering, but certainly the construction end, we could certainly share some credits on that. So we're looking at that avenue to get that project completed. And then just finally, as far as development, we're seeing a lot of movement. I'm not seeing any real slowdown as far as the developers in the city, as far as Zion Hill, Bully Rock, and Greenway Farms. So Bully Rock parcels P Phase 1, Q, QA, X, and W. The director approved the plans 2 weeks ago. All the public works agreements are executed, bonds are posted, so those projects are eligible to start work. And then on Greenway Farms, they're moving ahead with Phase 2 now. That's about 131 lots. And then they're going to move in with, the plans for Phase 3 have already been technically approved. They haven't posted any of the bonds or anything of that nature. But those plans are teed up, and that's for a total, I think we're going to talk about somewhere around, I think it's about 279 lots total that they're going to bring on for Greenway Farms Phase 2 and 3. And then finally, Zion Hill, we're finalizing the plans. Stormwater management plans are basically approved, waiting on bonds, road and storm drain, water and sewer, a couple minor comments, and they'll be ready to be teed up. I know we've talked to Don Sample's group about getting the public works agreements and the bonds posted moving forward. So there's a lot of development going on. I don't think I'm really seeing any kind of slowdown as far as with interest rates or anything like that at this point in time. Everybody's moving ahead and full throttle as far as moving forward towards the goal of getting more buildings, houses put in. So with that, that's all I've got for this evening. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Tim. Appreciate the comprehensive lay down there. So thank you very much. Any questions for Tim, Council? Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Good evening, Chief.
Good evening. I'm exhausted after listening to him and Bridget.
I know.
I feel so bad because we're not doing quite as much as no. I do want to let you know, first off, I want to thank the council for approving my contract. Thank you very much, folks. I really do appreciate that. I really enjoy our city, and I enjoy serving the folks here in Havre de Grace. So thank you very much. The other thing I want to let you know, Mayor, is even though we are now into January, we're still compiling all of our statistics for this past year, so I will get those to you. What is interesting, I've got just so far through November. November of 2021, we handled 1,499 calls for service, and this year alone in November, we've added an additional 1,551 to that. So we've increased by a little over 1,700 calls for service. So that's not only, that also includes our traffic accidents, crashes that they're called, that we investigate, self-initiated activity from the police officers, but also calls from service from the public. It does not include special events. We don't include that in this type of reporting. So I'll get all of that information to you as we go along. We have seen an increase in thefts, not by a large amount, but just enough that I don't like it. No one likes it. But we have seen an increase in that, as well as some motor vehicle thefts. But the largest part of the thefts in general have to deal with the catalytic converters. Unfortunately, that is going all across our county, and not just our county, but the state of Maryland in general. So just to let you know, that seems to be the biggest issue that we're dealing with right now. To go on to other things, I want to thank the Susquehanna Hose Company, and especially Ed Granger, for the duck drop. It was very, very nice. I'm amazed that we could even see it with all the fog and the rain. And what was really nice about it is about an hour before the rain stopped. But as soon as people got there, the duck dropped, everybody left, and the rain started back up again. So it was really good. It gave us that little bit of a gap that we could at least, while we couldn't enjoy the fireworks, and it would have been a waste of our money to shoot them, no one would be able to see them. But it was really nice nonetheless. The other thing is, what is February without what I think are reasonably intelligent people jumping into the Chesapeake Bay for the polar bear plunge to support Special Olympics Maryland, and that's it. It's on February the 3rd. We're doing it again this year. Every year I swear I'm not going to do it, and every year there I am plunging. So if anybody is interested, or if you want to join our plunge team, you're runners. I know you guys don't mind plunging. You can join our team or donate to it. All you have to do is go on Maryland Special Olympics for the polar bear plunge, and we have a team, so you can go ahead and donate if you'd like to. Or again, you can join us. That's not a problem as well. And Mayor, that would be it for this evening.
Thank you very much, Chief. I appreciate it. Appreciate the comments. I'm not going to be jumping in the water this year. So just want to let you know, I've done that. Been there, done that. Might do it again, but this year I'm gonna refrain. Comments from Mayor's office real quick, just a few things here. And you know, Chief, again, I want to thank you for wanting to serve the citizens of Havre Grace for 3 more years. It really was this is an awesome setting. We appreciate you saying that. I mean, really, you know, it really was a no-brainer with council. But, you know, I got to tell you, in all honesty, I mean, I know you've been here, you preceded Mr. Doherty, right? You've been here since 2005. Yes. So you served with Carreri and Craig.
Started out with Dave Craig.
David Craig brought you on board.
I don't know if I scared him away because he was only here for like 2 weeks.
Right.
And then John Carreri.
Wayne Doherty. Yeah, so it's quite a tenure you've had. And what I...
He was the acting mayor last month.
Acting mayor, ring soccer, when I wasn't here for a meeting. Anyway, I was over in Scotland. But anyway, but you know, Chief, I have to tell you, you know, I've had honor to serve with you for 8 years now. And when I first took over the helm, I was just glad that you worked for us because I knew you were good at your job. And then, you know, when you re-upped again, I was happy because you're great at your job. And now I just know that you're the best. So I mean that 100%. I can't think of a better police chief. And you know, it's all aspects. And I know you hate me talking about you, but Chief is a very humble person. But you know, as any citizen can realize, there's a lot that goes on law enforcement. I mean, first of all, you command men and women in uniform, first responders, and in a lot of times in high stress situations, you know, the average workday for a police officer might not be the average workday for another person, you know, and you got to keep them corralled and you got to keep them morale good. And then you got logistics of, you know, crime scenes, and you got logistics of city events, and you have logistics of, you know, community outreach, and you do everything, you know, A+. So thank you for, you know, wanting to work here for 3 more years. And we weren't sure what was going to happen to you, you know, with some other things going on, but I mean, for selfish reasons, I'm happy. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, absolutely. So, and I appreciate Director of Administration bringing up the whole fireworks thing, and he explained everything excellent. I mean, you know, what I was afraid of is it would stop raining at 11 o'clock, and everyone's going to say, where are the fireworks at? You know, but yeah, it's a whole process of loading, you know, gunpowder and, you know, mist and fog and rain all day just doesn't mix. And so nobody regrets it more than us because we love the fireworks show, but, you know, fireworks will be set off at the Defenders Day weekend, which is always the first weekend in May. We always have a fireworks show for that. But we appreciate the Susquehanna Hose Company and the men and women that work with Ed Granger to make sure the duck fell this year on time. That was a good time. Also want to let some citizens know that, weather permitting, the Department of Public Works will commence with paving when appropriate. We have a very ambitious paving schedule this year, paired up with Baltimore Gas Electric. So everything Baltimore Gas Electric digs up, they have to fix. We try to watch their schedule, and when they come down and pave, if the road warrants it, we try to do the other side of the road. You know, kind of, we can get twice the amount of road done for half the price. But also we have ambitious projects such as Bayview Estates. Bayview Estates was built in the mid-late 80s. And, you know, after 30-some years, those roads, and most of those have been dug up with pipe replacements and all kind of things. And so we started an ambitious project. It's going to take 2 to 3 years. The city is mailing out letters or postcards to the citizens, just so everybody knows. If you live on a road or a court that's not getting paved this year, it's not that we forgot about you. All roads will be assessed and paid when necessary. We're also doing, like, you know, Weber Street and all these other roads downtown. And so, but I want citizens to know, if you're watching this right now or recorded, that, you know, you probably heard the word, you know, ARP money, American Rescue Plan money. Every government entity got it just like we did. So did Hartford County, the state of Maryland, and the city of Aberdeen. And A lot of people like to do paving in the fall because the weather is kind of is ideal in the fall. Well, we don't have the paving budget that Harford County has. So these asphalt plants are really getting hit hard by the bigger customers first, and then comes us with the paving. And so we started paving a few months ago, and we got a good chunk done. We got a good chunk done up to a couple weeks ago because the weather was pretty moderate. But once the weather gets to freezing temperatures, we can't pave. But when we had these little windows of warm weather, we can try to go back out. So basically, the reason I'm saying all these things is you'll see city paving between now and April. You know, it's just weather permitting. So, but I do get citizens that, you know, ask me all the time, you know, what happened to our paving projects? I just want to let everybody know that it's a process, but we're committed to it. This administration has been very aggressive with paving. We have paved a lot of city streets. We have paved a lot of city streets that have never seen a paving truck in 50 years. We've even paved the alleys in half the town. So we're trying to pave as much as we can. Just let everybody know, weather permitting. Okay, on January 10th, right here at City Hall, 6 o'clock, the downtown restoration review between the mayor and city council with Tool Design will be held here on that Tuesday. So Tool Design is going to show us what they have so far with engineering and give a chance for the council to interact with the process. Public's invited to that, correct? Yeah, to watch. Clean energy changes. Hey, here's something cool that I want to tell everybody. So normally when people get tax credits for clean energy, it's just for individuals, but now cities and non-taxable entities, cities, can now take a tax credit. So for the first time, local governments can take advantage of tax credits for clean energy. Beginning January 1st this year, the IRS includes a provision that provides non-taxable entities, such as people like City of Havre de Grace, investing in and producing clean energy with a direct payment option in lieu of tax credits. So far for our city, I mean, we have some stuff under construction, but we also have stuff that's already up and going. Our solar power generation, some of you may or may not know, but we have 18 acres of solar panel fields in Perryman that power all the city buildings in the city of Havre de Grace. So the electricity we're using right now comes from solar power. We've had that for like the last 5 years, so we can take credits on that. LED light installation project, our electric trolleys, electric shuttles, and future electric charging stations that the city might be putting out. So we're really into clean energy. We're committed to it, so it's kind of cool we can take advantage of this tax incentives now. And finally, just like to give a nod to a passing of a Havre de Grace icon, Mr. Bobby Gall Sr., who was the owner and proprietor of Gall's Bakery. Not only did he work hard every day to provide generations of Havre de Grace families with delicious food, kept an iconic establishment going through many, many decades, but he's also a lifelong servant of the Susquehanna Hose Company, devoted servant and firefighter. So I give my condolences to the Gall family, and thank you very much, Mr. Gall, for your service to our city. With that, I'm going to hand the mic off to Councilmember Martin. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council President, Council, staff, those in the audience. Thank you all for staying. We appreciate you being here. Director Johnson, thank you for mentioning the Celtic Festival, which is the 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th, which can be found on Explore Havre de Grace. But I'm not going to talk about that one for a change. I'm going to talk about the fact that McGregor's, Coakley's, the State Theater, and the Opera House are also participating in it. So when the Celtic Festival closes during the day, all those other establishments are going to be open so that you have places to visit. So you can come to the Celtic Festival during the day and party in Havre de Grace all night. There are definitely going to be 2 pub crawls, so those of you that would like to imbibe a little bit, seeing that it's Celtic weekend, there are going to be 2 nice pub crawls. They're also on Explore Havre de Grace. So looking forward to everybody coming down and enjoying the Celtic Festival, but also downtown Havre de Grace on our businesses here. The Water and Sewer Commission is going to meet on the 13th at 3 o'clock here in City Hall. You've already mentioned the 18th, the Tourism Advisory. On January 11th at 6 o'clock is the legislative reception for the Harford County delegation here at the Wetlands Golf Course. So again, it's something we may want to be able to do. We have some new legislative people coming in. Be nice to meet them there, talk to them, introduce ourselves, and let them know who we are and how great Havre de Grace is. And finally, on the 20th, we have a tour from the Maryland Municipal League current elect president, Denise Mitchell, but we also have the new CEO, the person taking Scott Hancock's place, Teresa Kuhn, coming into town. So she will be coming in along with the president-elect. They're going to tour Havre de Grace, just get to see what we're like and meet some of the people here. So again, if you're available, let me know. We'd love to have you. The invitations have been sent out. With that, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Councilmember Martin. Good evening, Councilmember Boyer.
Thank you, Mayor. So I too want to send condolences to the Gall family. You definitely are. Condolences to the Gall family. You definitely are icons of the community and in the public service that your family has done for now generations of people. I really appreciate it, and I want to tell you how sorry I am to hear about the loss of the patriarch of the family. For the Susquehanna River Running Festival, I am very glad to see y'all coming back. I'm looking forward to the innovation and creativity, and I know that there's lots of people within our community that want to help and reach out and find ways to make this work and to be successful, because your success is our success. And it's reaching out to another group of people so we can share how absolutely wonderful Havre de Grace is, and I know it's a great place to run and walk. And bringing other people from a wide variety of communities to our community only makes us a stronger, richer community. So thank you very much for your perseverance, and hopefully we can come up with some really great ideas. The duck drop, absolutely amazing. Ed Granger is, actually, talk about an icon. He just wills it all to happen, and he's his own little publicity generating machine too. So he does a great job in getting Havre de Grace out on the map. Unfortunately, we didn't have the fireworks that I think a lot of people, but if you were able to come to the event, you would notice that 15 minutes before it starts, there's more and more people, but literally like 2 minutes before it starts, you look around and there's an incredible amount of people from all over our community, and it's one of those events that we have in Havre de Grace where it's so diverse. When you stand and you look around at how absolutely amazing our community is and how everybody can come together for one moment in time to celebrate the joy of a new year, it's wonderful, and it's one of the things that makes me really appreciate this community. I appreciate being put on the traffic work group. Look forward to working to try to find ways to help when we have problems with the bridges, when they shut down, how we can make it so that the trucks don't basically paralyze our communities. Hopefully we'll be able to identify some concepts or paths forward to try to alleviate this for our citizens. I've heard from a lot of people on the Street and Traffic Safety Committee. They've come to testify about it, about the problems that they have, Erie Street, et cetera, and hopefully we can get ourselves to a place where we can have a couple of ideas for resolution to help the situation. In addition, Street and Traffic Safety is looking at places for recommending to the mayor and council for the next budget for sidewalks. We have an incomplete sidewalk system within our community. Sidewalks make a community, they join people together. They're a place where it's safe to walk, it's safe to run, it's safe for our kids to ride their bikes. And we've not done a good job at connecting everything. We have a couple of places, especially down by the lighthouse. I just point that out as one of the obvious places, and coming back from the duck drop, great example, visibility extremely low, there's no place to walk except in the middle of the street. And we need a sidewalk. We need to have a couple of sidewalk solutions. Another great location for sidewalks, and it's going to be a long-term plan, we're going to have to get creative yet again, is going up Chapel Hill. We have more and more people walking down to Royal Farms from Chapel Hill, or just people just out exercising and running, just trying to connect our community, the people on the hill to the downtown area. So the Street and Traffic Safety is looking at it. We're going to be making recommendations, and hopefully they'll be actionable. We'll be having our meeting on the 4th Monday, which is the 23rd, at the exact same time as our joint public work meeting. It'll be from 6 to 7 at the Colored School. And that's about it. I appreciate y'all for coming out and having the support. It really does make a difference. And it doesn't matter whether it's the running festival or anything else within your community. When you come out and you show that it matters, it has a difference. So please translate to other things within your lives. Thank you. Good day.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Boyer. Good evening, Councilmember Zinner.
Mayor, Council, citizens at home. Well, I wasn't here for New Year's Eve, so I didn't get to enjoy the duck drop, but I did see it last year, and it is really quite something to see. I just hope everyone enjoyed the holiday season, and I wish everyone a Happy New Year. I want to congratulate Miss Molly Martin, the mayor's daughter, for being selected as an intern for the next legislation session in Annapolis. She is really has achieved a high recognition for her academics and her music career at school.
She gets that from her mom.
Gets that from her mom, okay. But at any rate, it's quite an honor. It's competitive, and she's been selected, and I want to congratulate her.
Thank you.
The Historic Preservation Commission will meet next Tuesday at 7:30 following the tool design presentation. Their plan is to come to that presentation. This should be an informative night where we see concepts move to design, first design stage at 30%, and as the months follow, more details around the proposal for the downtown renovation project will take shape, moving from concept to design. On a personal note, I want to inform everyone that I shall not be running for re-election in May. Please spread the word. As many of you know, it has been an extremely difficult year for me with the loss of my husband. Communicating my intention now gives more people an opportunity to assess their desire to serve this body, reducing the prospect or potential for another uncontested election. We need more people to throw their hats, coats, or whatever into the ring so the citizens have a varied choice on who will serve. The past 4.5 years have been an honor and a privilege for me, and I have learned much. It is interesting going from one career your entire working life to something entirely new. I always marvel at the learning curve and the new vocabulary each change brings. I went from microbes to master files to ordinances and resolutions in my long working career. I think it is time to allow someone younger and with more talents than I to take my place. If I had to create a profile, gender excluded, it would be someone who has children and knows the challenges facing parents and the cultural differences between a childless boomer and an elementary, middle school, and high school student, while recognizing the unique needs of a large senior population. A person who understands the need to keep our budget in line, a college education or trade school graduate who understands college is not for everyone, but understands some of the challenges a municipality faces to protect the health and safety and provide the environment we treasure as citizens. A person with critical thinking skills, but can admit if they are wrong or make a mistake. A person who is flexible and can work to try to get to yes for the benefit of our community. This is a tall order, but I know this person lives in our community, but just needs to recognize themselves and step into the ring. I find with the changes to my circumstances that I may need to move out of Havre de Grace. I do not want to serve if I cannot finish my term. I am not certain what the future holds for me, but I have to be open to what changes present themselves in my new life. I thank all of you who voted for me in the past and those who didn't, because you went to the polls to exercise your right to vote in our democratic republic. This is the spirit we need to keep alive in our city and help to perpetuate citizens of good character and willingness to serve. If you never thought of running in the past, now is a good time to consider the possibility. Fortunately, we are nonpartisan, so campaigning can be fun instead of what we see in partisan politics, and the campaign season is short. Give it some thought, and I'll see you at the polls in May, not as a candidate, but a citizen who wants the best for our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Zenner. Well said. Good evening, Councilmember Robertson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, city staff, ladies and gentlemen here and at home. I know that we still have a few months, to say our goodbyes, but, I do want to say it's been an honor serving with you, Carolyn, and, I understand your decision, but, know that that's not my preference. So, anyway, just want to say, thank you, Susquehanna Hose Company, for a wonderful duck drop. You had to get real close to see it, but you could see it. It was a little foggy out. And, just wishing everybody a happy and safe New Year's, and hopefully you haven't given up on your resolution already.
Thank you, Councilmember Robertson. Good evening, Councilmember Shanegas.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Administration, citizens in the audience, and citizens at home. It has been a joyful holiday season here in Havre de Grace, and it's been wonderful being able to share it with my family that has come into town. I am very proud to live here and to see all of the things that I see on a daily basis through the lens of my family, because they're seeing it for the first time. And it's wonderful that we have new businesses popping up, and it's sad to see some close, but they served our community, and it's awesome that we can welcome new businesses, families, new people on committees, and help our town grow and be more accessible to the things that we enjoy. Yes, I too was at the duck drop, and it was great. It was great just to see that, it was not a nice night. People to be out and about, driving, not that many choices for us to go places, but we knew we could go to the lighthouse and see the duck drop. So it was nice to be a part of the community in that respect. Looking forward to the up-and-coming Highland Games for the children. The Celtic Festival has a lot of events for adults, but there's going to be some great events for the children. The Kids Highland Games are on Saturday and Sunday around 1 o'clock, and it's just great for them to come out and see what it's all about. I will be there both times because I definitely have an affinity for elementary school kids, and I really want to see how they embrace learning about the Highland Games. Also, our Twinning Association will have a table out. We are twinning with the Welsh community, and there will be many goods for sale. I know Council Member Zenner is going to be there as well. There'll be events all day long, all weekend at the Star Center, but there will be a table if you need some wares and want to learn more about the Welsh culture. Moving on to another meeting for our wonderful commissions, Marina Commission. We will meet on Wednesday, January 11th at 4 p.m. here in the council conference room. And I look forward to welcoming our new members and having them attend their first meeting. So, with that said, back to you, Mayor Martin, and Happy New Year to all.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year to you, Councilmember Shanegas. We're going to move on. Comments from the council president.
Mr. Mayor, Council? I got to tell you, looking out in the audience, it's really neat that normally people, after they get voted in or their stuff is voted for, they bail, and we actually have a full audience tonight almost. So I want to remind everybody again of the council work session on the 23rd for ordinance 1091. That will be at 6 o'clock right here. Councilwoman Zenner, I would like to say how much of a pleasure it's been serving with you, and your unique perspective that you bring to everything really balances this council, and you will be sorely missed, and I still will forever call you, I know, I will still forever call you my friend, and I wish that you would serve 2 or 3 more terms. I really do. I really do. So, with that, I also want to offer my condolences to the Gall family. Again, I'm not a runner, but if you own a bakery, I'm going to be in there and know you. So I cherish my time, the short time it was that I served in the fire department with Mr. Gall, and still remember the time we had a mutual, they burned down a house on purpose, a training thing over there on, what is it, Barker Lane, there by the quarry. And afterwards, I was doing the mutual aid portion for the ambulance corps, doing the rehab and stuff in the firefighters. And then afterwards, we went to the number 2 firehouse, and he had made burgers for everybody. And we had taken so long, the burgers had burnt. And I remember I ate it, and it scratched the heck out of my throat. And I think for like the next week and a half, I had the absolute worst strep throat I've ever had in my life. And I always think of that when I see him. But all right. Officer Adams, always, every time I'd see her, she always asked how my daughter's doing. And my daughter, of course, she's had some medical issues, and that's why we didn't go down to the duck drop, because she just recently twisted her knee and tore some ligaments and stuff. But Officer Adams adored my daughter Sydney, and she's going to be missed too. Chief, I want to say that the catalytic converter thefts are true and they're real, because mine was stolen as well. But I'm more concerned about the deer strikes in this town, because a couple people know I was on my motorcycle on Route 155 a couple years back. I hit a deer on my motorcycle, totaled that, and broke my back and my leg and my ankle and my wrist. And then just the other day, I'm riding my little commuter car right by the number 5 firehouse, and the car's not much bigger than the motorcycle is. And just out of the woods, deer came in my window, and so watch out for the deer. There's plenty of deer out there this time of year, especially. Put your high beams on as long as you can. And I'd like to announce that this is the 75th season for Havre Grace Little League out at Stansel Field. All players ages 4 to 16 can sign up to play t-ball, softball, and baseball. Registration will open online January 22nd and run through February 22nd. So make sure you guys sign up for the 75th year for Havre Grace Little League. And I would like to announce that the JV Lady Warriors basketball team finally won their first game of the season tonight, 39-19 over C. Milton Wright. So in honor of another great man, Warrior Pride, Grace on top. All right.
Hit home runs. So, hey, thank you very much for your comments, Council President. There's a lot of deer on the streets of Havre Grace.
Oh my gosh.
But doesn't mean I want to see every car with bullhorns on them like Texas Cadillacs, all right? So I'm just saying we can somehow curb it before that happens. So, but anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to item 19, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Martin, second by Councilmember Shanegas. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to adjourn to January 3rd meeting, 2023, carries 6-0 in the affirmative. The time is now 9:33 p.m. Thank you very much, everybody, and Happy New Year. Havre Grace.